Alright, so Nasarima impression video. Get into it right away, I guess. My first impression on the article, and I feel as for most people, will be like, oh my god, what's wrong with these like sadists? And I had to like refrain myself from doing that because that's someone else's culture. And then I go in, read a little more, get to the Holy Mouth Men, and I'm like, this is definitely America. And this happened while we were doing it in class as well. I was getting a little skeptical. Then Professor Nolan pointed it out. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I go on, more mixed views, because now I'm like, oh, well, this is also us. It's a little mean, but also, like, I understand. I can see this. I feel like most people in general view other cultures as, like, extremely harsh, and we go through, like, a judgmental thing comparing us to them, and what we are is normal compared to them. I feel like overall it was a little accurate. There are some things in there that I'm personally like questioning, like Washington. He's a hero or he's a icon. I don't know anyone in my life who worships him or thinks he's a hero. But everyone has, this is our first president. Everyone else is going to be like, oh, maybe he's a hero. Maybe he's like someone we look up to. I personally don't. I don't know anyone who does. But I feel like overall, nothing too insane. An observation from something in our culture, though, that wasn't mentioned in the video, I feel like definitely deserves it, is transportation. I think it's insanely different from other cultures. Well, I guess insane's a bit drastic, but other places, Japan, very popular example, they have a train system and beautiful map. I don't know if you've ever like seen a map of Japan's underground train system, but it's really well routed, and I think it gets everyone a more effective way of travel instead of having to get a car, get a debt, get insurance, all that, especially as someone who pays for college, gonna be very difficult if you have to do all of it together, and then payments, and it just helps with debt. I think there's better ways to look at this too, but overall I think it's more of a detriment, especially whenever we choose to go into traffic. And obviously it's not always traffic jams, but we have to stop just so we can all have a turn looking at a wreck, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But even then, there's still positives, like going to work, especially far away in a whole nother city. Now, how has this changed through history? Back to the point where we have to go to other places. I feel like we used to not have to do that. Most things were a community. You stay together in the town, and you, of course, like, there's some people who will travel, go see family, go other places. And it was more of a trek, like a whole long distance for people back then, because you had to go and get prepared for like weeks sometimes if you were going further back, and then even in a car ride back not too long ago, it would still be a while. I do think it's changed our minds as a community and makes us more distant overall, like together. Like it like separates us. It keeps that social divide. Like that freeway separates me from the rest of my life. Whenever I'm driving, I don't feel like it's similar at all. It's very different. Anyways, and beneficial, negative. I would say overall it's negative, like I said before, but I can definitely see, a toss-up. It separates us. I do have a article that helps. It's from Science Direct. I'll put the link in the description for a further explanation. But it separates us and each other from our lives. And like, I guess a physical example would be, I feel like neighborhoods get separated by that freeway. It changes from peaceful, or not even peaceful, but just that's our living situation, to busy. And that's fine, but like I said, I feel like that's more negative and draws us away from a community. Uh, it does help us get to places fast, but I mean, Japan, as per mentioned, there's alternate ways to go about this. It's not just like you have to have this, and then you have debt, and then you have other ways to make this negative. And I feel like it can be a toss up, a 50-50 toss up. But I think taking 15 minutes walking to a restaurant with your friends instead of going only like 5 minutes in a car, 3 minutes in a car, that's just a big difference. Like, you can have a lot of fun. And I do know some neighborhoods it's very dangerous to walk around and cars are more efficient. But in general, I feel like having that quality time with other people whenever you do walk is going to be it's going to be more beneficial, or not even beneficial, but more fun and more engaging with the community. And that's where I'm going with the whole thing anyways. So I feel like it's more negative, but there's obviously arguments to be made against that.